Okay, people, are breaking natural law basically when they do harm and they take shit. If you don't do any harm, unnecessary harm, and you don't take any shit, you know, unnecessary shit, then you're golden. You know what I mean? Um, you look at this, you see this in nature, all throughout the animal kingdom. If you do unnecessary harm, you're gonna take shit for it. Um, for example, the baby cub playing with mama too much and pissing her off when she's trying to sleep. Usually, usually the mammal moms too, of course, and of course the reptilian moms, the ones that do actually hang around with their young. They are very patient usually, but after a while it's like, okay, mom needs to sleep, or even dad needs to sleep, or whatever. Fuck off, and then a paw to the face or whatever, and then the baby learns, okay, I'm breaking natural law by doing harm, so I'm now gonna take some shit, get some shit in the face or whatever, like a paw in the face, and then back off, learn your lesson a bit, and that happens throughout everything, because it's about being free individuality, like individuals, and expressing yourself, but realizing that you're part of a whole too, and you've got to interact on some level with each other on some on some base thing. Of course, if you want to go fuck off to the woods, that's fine too. But so essentially, breaking natural law by basically stealing rights, the right to be left alone, the right to personal freedom, and the right to individual choice, and then but then if you're doing harm with that unnecessary harm, like that's where mankind's doing that right now with carnism, belief in that eating meat or and baby cow growth fluid and or drinking it and eating it too, and cheese and stuff like that, and also consuming chicken periods is somehow healthy, moral, and sustainable, like environmentally in any way, which is stupid. It's not. Like, humans are physiological, psychological herbivores. That's why we don't have field trips to slaughterhouses and factory farms to see, for everybody to participate like we do with pick your own strawberries, or pumpkin patch picking, or any other fruit and vegetable that we do that with. But we can't do that with animals, because God forbid we see the little ones that who apparently are designed to eat meat, who are designed to drink baby cow growth fluid, which is just bizarre to me now. I've totally snapped out of this fucking social programming. But the list goes on, like culture, I should say, you know, fucking culture. Quit your fucking cult. And then it goes the same way, so basically, yeah, we see it in the vegan movement with the whole carnists just basically dying off because heart disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity, Alzheimer's, dementia. The list goes on. Sorry, you got people. Sorry, everyone, folks. Herbivores eating meat will never work. You're not gonna evolve. Oh, sorry. You're not gonna evolve to have. Sorry, I'm moving my hand here a little bit when I'm talking. That's what's happening there. If you've heard that mic movement, I might just try to edit that out. But anyways, if you see this in, yeah, the whole herbivores eating meat. It's not gonna work. You're not gonna evolve. It's not moral at all. It's insanely immoral, insanely cruel to these poor, cute little animals. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm not sorry, but yeah, I'm not sorry at all. What the fuck am I saying here? I'm so used to doing that. It's like an old habit, saying apologizing first for telling the truth. I'm sorry about the truth that things are this way, but you know, cows, pigs, and chickens are adorable. All life on this planet, I think, is amazingly cute in some form. Even the ones that can kill me, they're just still so cool and powerful. Even like a bear. Even a big old grizzly bear, or even ugly as hell animals, they're just so interesting and cute. I'm not gonna lie about this shit. So, I love all life on this planet. I want mankind to be, healthy and free and aware of the reality of the situation that we're in. That, you know, um, basically criminals to control the, if people think, okay, if we're not supposed to be eating meat and all this stuff, and it's really unhealthy for us, and that's crazy because everybody eats meat. Yeah, well, that's because the universe is growing up, and cultures evolve in this way, and basically, this is about consciousness expansion and learning about how reality works in a way that it doesn't always, work out. When people get lazy and fuck around and think that it's just okay to just focus only on money and fame and uh, like just trying to make, like that kind of like shallow lifestyle and just like meaningless shit and, sports and video games and movies and all this shit. Like, I'm not dissing any of those things. I like sports, I like movies, I like video games too. But when we just focus everything on that shit and don't see the bigger picture as far as what's happening worldwide to people all over the planet as far as war and poverty and like basically social engineering to like like all like how only cigarettes and alcohol are legal. Like, why isn't marijuana? Like, marijuana is becoming more legal, of course. Like, we've seen it in the States and even in Canada now too. It's great, and other places too. Like Mexico is making it legal, and it's blossoming all over the world. The marijuana revolution's happening, and as long as the vegan movement and the truth movement too, as far as like against government coercion essentially and anarchy. Like, no rulers, no masters. So we're all pushing forward here, and but yeah, like people are breaking natural law by being tax farmed. Yeah, tax farmed. Sorry, I'm tired here. Uh, Wage, debt, slaves. Like, tax farmed, wage, debt, slaves. It's ridiculous. Like, you're never gonna get ahead by getting, essentially shorn every year by, your tax shepherd, giving away, whatever percentage, like, I don't even know all the taxes. I've seen multiple lists of all the different taxes people pay in multiple countries and shit. It's ridiculous. And, like, I know for justifications I make it sound like it's a cool and good thing, but at the end of the day, you're still giving up your power, and I would rather be able to have the choice of, you know, having full control over what I'm, investing my time and money and or resources into, than fucking just giving it away and hoping that someone else, handles it better than I do. For me, that's like a child's behavior. That's like, mom and dad, please look after my bank or my birthday money because I can't handle it myself because I don't have the mental maturity. Like, do you have the mental maturity to handle everything that you're responsible for in your life? Like, think about that. You, who's listening to this right now, do you have the personal responsibility to handle everything that's happening in your life? Are you willing to accept the fact that, if someone came in, like, especially for the, the protectors or guardians of the other members of the family, supposedly, like the quote-unquote weaker ones, whether they're physically or mentally weaker, if you're protecting any of those people and someone came to attack your house, and what's your option? If they have a gun or some sort of strong weapon, or there's multiple people, and they have, better weapons than you, and they decide to hurt you um, and then the people you're protecting, like your children or your, the guardian of, maybe you're like looking after, uh, less able person or something like that, and like, and what are you gonna do? You're gonna call the cops and sit there and get offended watching this shit happen, and to yourself and or them while the cops are coming, or are you gonna be able to defend yourself to the point where they won't even get in the house? Okay, like, what are those two good options where either you're sitting there waiting for the cops to show up, and they might not even show up. I've heard multiple stories that the cops never show up, of course, because the cops aren't there for you. They're there to protect a system that basically keeps everybody else on the bottom, and only the people who own the police and the military, as far as, the social and global elite, that, the super rich people that had millions of dollars hundreds of years ago. Okay, like, these people were really rich a long time ago, so now they're just basically owning money systems and owning countries and owning entire, like, they own education systems and medical systems and, like the pharmaceutical, chemotherapy, butcher trade essentially of coercing people and convincing people that somehow the only method for health and safety is to just take these pills for the rest of your life, because changing your diet and lifestyle is just too much, and maybe meditating and finding a deeper purpose to yourself. And yeah, I understand take some pills for a while. Like, for sure pills can save your life. Like, certain strong chemicals that are pharmaceutically made have saved people's lives before. I will never deny that. But at the same time, when you're constantly day to day pumping these things into your body, just, I'm not saying it's all bad. As certain substances out there that can be very beneficial to people, but I'm trying to focus on like natural shit essentially here, and more along the lines of being aware of what you're putting into your body, and being aware of what it's doing to your body too, like how you change what people around you say about you changing, especially if you're taking some of the stronger ones for like quote unquote mental illness, basically like, oh, having a mental illness in a world run by criminals. Oh wow, what a surprise. I have stress and depression and anxiety and confusion and then like, even like schizophrenia and bipolar and, the list goes on, multiple personality disorder, like multiple personality disorder. Sorry, I really gotta start pronouncing my words better. I sort of like start talking fast and don't really try to pronounce my words very well. Gotta slow down. But yeah, like it's people, we just can't keep doing this thinking that somehow, tax farm, wage, debt, slavery is freedom, or freedom is, you know what I mean? So I'm getting tired here again. I guess I'll be recording later at night. But, yeah, like it's crazy. And also, this is also a mic check too. If my mic doesn't sound very good, I'm getting a new one, people. So if you're still listening to this, I appreciate it. Stay tuned because I'll be getting a really good mic here, hopefully. I just need a really good mic, but it'll be a lot better than this one for sure. It'll actually be like sitting on my table, not just a headset mic, which is what I'm using now. Which, yeah. So, like for me, yeah, I think at the end of the day, once again, going back to natural law, doing harm and taking shit, herbivores eating meat, and free people being tax farmed, wage slave, debt slave, sheep who just follow the herd and listen to propaganda. And luckily, this is all broken down now. Like not broken down, but breaking down is basically dead or dying or whatever. I don't know how you explain it and see it. Certain people say it's already dead and gone. It's just a matter of time of just the revolution or evolution, whatever, the truth movement, rising up the vegan, environmentalist movements, and then along also with, the anarchist, anti-authority kind of, like the libertarian are trying to do this, like, oh, just gotta really make it really liberal. But no, just go all the way and just say no rulers, no masters. Like, yes, let's have groups of experts that get together in groups and really love discussing things. And let's put their discussions on TV and on YouTube or whatever, and let them write their books and have their blogs and all the shit they want to do. Like, just create. Let them, sing songs and write poetry and make movies. That's amazing. Let's all do that, more or less. But at the same time, we can't just be making it like, oh, these are the ultimate authority in whatever area, and everybody else has to obey them and suck their dick, essentially, because they're the fucking ultimate authority in that area. Like, yeah, if they strongly, strongly, strongly suggest that a society does this, and the society still, like, most people say, no, I don't agree with that or whatever, and they're all being individuals, then fine. But at the same time, keep recognizing, the do no harm, but take no shit. This is like, it's about balance, people. This is about balance. It's not like, people want to go all to like different extremes with this stuff. Like, oh, you get obsessed with this, and then you focus all on that, and then you do this, and then that happens, and then like you fall down rabbit holes. And yes, it's very easy to do that with this shit because the mind game that the fucking social elite or the social engineers put up to draw people into this shit, and then when they do find the truth, it's just more rabbit holes of bullshit because they put it up there. Like, they actually will make the websites, they actually go film the documentaries, all this shit, they put the people in there in place to scare the public into all this bullshit campaign just to fucking scare everybody, to making it seem like it's all fucking worse than it actually is. When it's just a very small number of really smart people behind the scenes doing this shit. So it's not a thing like special or super, like you can't get really deep into it with what some of these groups do to keep their members from talking. I won't get into that here. I'll get into that in another video where I'll basically label it so you'll know what I'll be getting into. I'll try to be really blunt with my video titles too here. Like hopefully this one will keep, getting back to the natural law thing. I won't keep repeating that here because you guys have heard it enough. But like yeah, like natural law applies to so many different things too. Like it's everywhere. Like I suggest you also look into what I've heard they're called the 7 Hermetic Principles. Like, well, again, that is the 7 Hermetic Principles. I think there's apparently 8 or something. You can put them all 7 together. But essentially, what these are is like essentially, I'll try to define Hermetic. Like Hermetic is like if you have ever heard hermetically sealed. Like it's used in medical lingo. Same with occult too. Like occult is also used like occult fractures, but I won't go off on that tangent. But anyways, hermetic basically refers to like sealed up, tight hermetic principles. Like they're sealed up, you can't deny them. They're simple, basic things that make sense, and you can see them throughout the universe. So here they are, basically trying to simply break them down really quickly for you. Might not be in perfect order here. It depends on what you look at, but they're generally basically in this kind of order. The first one's mentalism, The universe is mental. The all is mind. You are mind. Animals have minds, like lesser forms. I should say lesser minds, but different minds. Essentially, animal minds. And then there's like plant minds. That sort of like base. You know, low life, low consciousness, not sentient. Okay, for all you people going, oh, he's gonna say they're fucking sentient. No, they're not. Plants are not sentient. They are, respond to stimuli like my computer does. They're a very fascinating, beautiful form of life that I want to spend, that I honestly right now, instead of talking about this, I'd rather be studying plants, for example, or also reading too about history and like almost anything else besides telling people this shit. But obviously I can't because the world's run by criminals, so I gotta at least spend some amount of time talking about this stuff. So anyways, going back to natural law and Hermetic principles, like the all is mind, plants, animals, and then like even the planet too, like earthquakes, that's like physics, like this ties into physics, okay, this ties into biology and chemistry too, like the mentalism of how the currency exchange kind of quote unquote of electrons and chemistry, and then how like energy exchange and physics and atoms and all that interesting shit, and then quantum physics too, and like it's amazing, like observer effect, and also particle wave theory. Like it's very interesting, this stuff. So anyways, yeah, the all is mind, the universe is mental. So that's why the stronger your willpower, that's how more you can accomplish with like increasing, like taking better actions and correcting bad behaviors that you know are bad, and finding behaviors and habits that are good and beneficial to yourself and your community too, and friends and family, of course. So yeah, keep going here. The all is mind, the universe is mental, so mentalism. Second is correspondence. Everything corresponds to something else, like the butterfly effect, essentially. I haven't really gone too much into this one, so I can't really, I'm not very good at embellishing on it. I'm sure I could if I just thought about it enough, but yeah, like everything corresponds to everything else. Like if I pound my fist on the table, it sends vibration corresponding to down the table and, down into the floor, and it corresponds to all the other atoms in the general area kind of thing. So that's, if I'm really fucking this up, if anybody who's an expert on this kind of stuff, roast me in a video, that'd be great, or just leave a comment, that'd be sweet too. I'll make a follow-up video to this too, because I find the 7 Hermetic principles very useful and interesting. So yeah, let's continue. Correspondence is very useful. You see it throughout the universe, everything corresponds yeah. And then let's go to vibration, essentially. Like everything vibrates. Certain levels, like some things will vibrate so high it looks like they're not even vibrating at all. Like let's say they're just solid matter. That's what we're in right now. Like it's vibrating, like it's like energy condensed to a slow vibration where it's so slow or so fast or whatever that, or depending on how you see it, it's kind of trippy this way. But it's such a vibration that you're on the same frequency of it too. This vibration, that's where you're able to touch it. And, you can like handle any physical object, and you're in a physical object right now, your body. So, yeah, it's very interesting, that whole vibration one, and then we see it with all different types of energy too, like electricity, light energy, electromagnetic energy, magnetic energy even, just like all forms, and then like, yeah, like fire, and down all the way to water and gas, all the different forms of atoms take, and then when they cool off and heat up, like, yeah. So yeah, vibration. The next one, or another one, is polarity. Everything, like, every truth is just a half-truth, essentially, from how I understand it. Like, you can say something like, summer is nice, or summer is good. Well, yeah, summer's good, but if, like, in certain places, if summer happened all year round, things would just burn up, die off, and that'd be it. Like, we couldn't have certain plants because they need to, go through the winter season to die off and recycle and rot away a bit, and then, fall, of course, and then spring and all that stuff. Like, we need, like, so, like, unless you make a really, like, a certain generalization that, like, sort of counteracted, say, like, most things or certain things or whatever, like, you make a certain, like, that kind of statement, but generally, like, like, this is kind of like, once again, polarity. Like, there's always, like the kind of duality thing, too. Like, evil's necessary until you realize it's not necessary anymore. Like, you need to come and, to realize and see how horrible bad things are. Like, things like murder and rape and pedophilia and, environmental destruction and, just dominant-based beliefs where you just, like, mind control other people or scare or coerce them, like bullying and just like forcing your beliefs on somebody else, and that are unjust, like totally unnecessary, unrighteous. Just you're just breaking natural law doing that stuff. So yeah, like that's the whole polarity thing where, um, yeah, like it's just the whole evil is necessary until you realize it's not necessary anymore. And so I kind of got on a tangent there and kind of confused myself with this whole evil thing, breaking natural law. But like the polarity thing is like keeping that, seeing that balance and how things play out, and seeing how, um, it's basically like you need both sides to, like you can't have light without the dark. You can't have, anything without the opposite, essentially. You can't have a computer without the opposite, or not having a computer. Like not having something and then having it. That's the whole difference of, polarity, and then both do the same thing. It's essentially lack of something and then something introduced into it, like light and darkness. It's just basically the absence of light, which is darkness, and then the more light that creeps in, the more light gets there, you know what I mean? Or the more light there is. So it's the same thing with temperature. Temperature is just an increase in vibration or decrease in vibration of atoms, which is like heat, energy, either causes the atoms to vibrate quicker and they heat up, and then they cause more energy. They have become more, I think it's exothermic, I'm pretty sure they give off energy. I'm not too sure about all this, but yeah, it's just like, it's been a while since fucking his or science class again. Fucking all those years ago. Not except I got super nerd in that shit, but yeah, like it's just, oh man, I'm getting forgetting about it. Get this shit again. What the hell is it? Exothermic. God damn it. Sorry, I'll just continue here. Like, besides polarity, we can go further into that. You can think about that yourself and how that all plays out. Another one is rhythm. There's always like an ebb and a flow kind of thing to existence, and it's always, there's like the good times and the bad times kind of, and that's where being aware of how things, like seeing patterns, and how, like, especially on planets where there's a really strong programming system in place, especially like, what we like is breaking down now, obviously, like the mass media is becoming bigger than the mainstream media, from what I hear from a few sources and shit like that, and like it's just it's crazy. um, yeah, like it's basically like that rhythm, like that, uh, sorry, I'm getting tired here again, but it's basically that whole being able to ride the waves, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, ride the waves of natural law and see the universe as, when good times, you see like bad things coming, like right now, where it's like the world's falling, like, switching to gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin or whatever. I think is a good idea, and informing yourself about things like legal name fraud, Federal Reserve, Federal Reserve banking fraud, and fiat currency fraud. Get into things like, growing your own food and 3D printing and stuff like that, where you can, do your own stuff at home and make your own things, and, like even like, doing like making clay stuff or art, or like, you know what I mean? Like this kind of stuff is like about taking your freedom back, where you can become self-sustainable with even amongst your friends and family, where you can produce content in some way that people want to see it, and then they'll be able to, they'll want to support you in some way, even if they help you out in small ways, like, oh, here's a little bit here, a little bit there. It all adds up, it all matters, and it's fucking very good to have that. Especially it brings communities together, and it makes people happier, and it brings that social bonding, which is what mankind needs right now. We need that, that community-based love of, like acceptance of your fellow man for their struggle in this fight against bullshit, as far as like, essentially psychopaths, like living in a psychopathocracy. So yeah, I'm gonna take a drink here. I'll be right back here. So we have to, recognize the rhythm of this, and then try to, be able to see that, at certain times when things are looking bad and people aren't waking up, maybe it's time to, like, however you want to repair whatever you think is necessary, do your own thing. I think the best thing to do right now is just wake people up, because the more that people wake up, just the more it'll be, like, it'll just break it down. Like, the people will stop buying stupid products, they'll stop supporting corrupt systems. Though, like, the people that decide to just quit their jobs, like, especially if they work in the government or military or Wall Street or any of these, police too. Like any of these bullshit systems. Excuse me, I'm gonna burp here. Anyways, it's basically, yeah, going back to recognizing rhythms and seeing like how if we don't recognize rhythms and how things come and go, especially with this whole thing, like we've seen like in the past, like the way like people seen the wave of the come and go, and the ones that were strong enough to survive it, they just went and did their thing. And even like people assume that that means getting a fucking bunch of money together and friends and going living, but like out of like nowhere, and living with a bunch of like some vegan anarchist community out in the middle of fucking nowhere with a bunch of like all their shit and like plants and greenhouses and all that stuff, and trying to be as self-sufficient as possible. And yeah, they can do that for sure, but at the same time, like, you don't have to. You can still live within the fucking system in the cities and just be, like, yeah, you gotta be more immune to the bullshit, of course. So you can't just, like, of course, you're obviously gonna have more, like, friends and neighbors at least, and dealing with people on a regular basis, at least as far as, like, shopping goes and getting your basic necessities to survive and, that kind of stuff. Like, of course, now you can do with most things with the internet now, so you don't even have to leave the house for the most part if you don't want to, of course, or depending on what you're doing. But yeah, like it comes down to being able to recognize the rhythm and flow and see things for what they are. And yeah, going back to like surviving in the system, like yeah, you can like yeah, people want to instantly assume like just get the fuck out, which yeah, you can. I suggest that depending on what country you're living in, because it could get really bad here as far as like open gang war, civil war between certain groups of people. Obviously, I won't get into that here, but as interesting the way it's going to unfold in the future here, I don't see it getting much better. I see it getting worse until it breaks, and then people just, holy fuck, we gotta change here. And hopefully by then the truth movement will be strong enough we can still just go, okay guys, it happened finally, let's do this. But just switch to gold coin, hemp, Tesla technology, free energy, quote free energy, which is tapping into the Earth's electromagnetic field, which is it's always been there. It's like and I don't know exactly how to tap into it yet, but I've heard shit about it. It's interesting, like with magnets and all this stuff. Like just research Tesla. It's fucking fascinating. And but yeah, and then like of course like tidal and solar and wind and wave and geothermal, and the list goes on with that too. Like burn like hemp fuel. Like hemp's amazing. So, like we could have been using hemp all these years, like for decades, but, hope fossil fuels better because the criminal elite want to poison everybody with their fucking bullshit products too, like fuck. But anyways, going back to natural law, rhythm. Okay, so I think you hopefully understood rhythm a little bit there, at least in reference to how it portrays the history of life on this planet, and then rhythm comes and goes, like you can see it everywhere. Your relationships, the way things work, whatever, like obviously, it's you can look into this and try drive yourself mad with it, which I don't suggest you do. But yeah, so rhythm. Next one is, or another one is cause and effect. I think yeah, like what's it been? Mentalism, correspondence, fucking mentalism, correspondence, or vibration, polarity, rhythm. Yeah, cause and effect. There's a cause and there's an effect. Like this is basically really straightforward. I don't think I'll go much into it right now, right here, because like those words should be pretty straightforward. Like I push my glass off the table. The effect is that it falls down and breaks, and then like the effect is like a broken glass on the floor with like a bunch of lemon water in the carpet. Okay, so that's the cause and effect. Really straightforward. And then the last one is gonna be gender. This one is kind of interesting because people instantly assume gender instantly as a physical, guys are, usually guys are big and strong and with beards and muscles and, a dick and testicles and shit, no boobs, and then women are, obviously women, like, long hair, whatever, the typical stereotypical bullshit of it, which is stupid, I think. And then, obviously, of course, the breasts and the vagina and the more feminine figure at least. And in some ways that's true, definitely, for sure, but in the other respect too, masculine is more like regarded as also like like the thinking, like the logical, push forward, like the red, like kind of like red shifted, like getting things done. Um, like this isn't like just applied to men too. Like women have this before, so obviously like women go out and get things done. They're logical too. Like I'm not just saying this is like this is what the mind fuck game is. So like the masculine respect. This applies to the universe too. Like there's aspects of reality that are logical and kind of masculine as far as like get things done, and redshifted as far as like pushing forward and striving and dealing with challenges. And then there's also like the feminine aspect, which is like the emotional and passive, and this applies to how our brains work too, even, which is interesting. But yeah, it's kind of cool how, like, even in the universe now we see like the passive, emotional kind of aspect, where it's like the empathetic, intuitive, creative, where you know what I mean, like the masculine left, or like left brain too. Even like I should get more into like I'm getting more into this, of course, but yeah, like the masculine side is what I mean. Like men are usually more willing to go out and just like go through hard times to get things done. And I'm not saying women don't either. Like, women do like the same thing too, of course. Obviously, that's how this plays out, where people being balanced in the masculine and feminine aspects, where you have like really strong men essentially, and really strong women too, like, because they're both balanced in their masculine and feminine ways. Where, like for me, being balanced in my feminine side, I'm able to connect with the animals and innocent people and other people on this planet, where I can know where they came from, as far as being born in this world with the social engineering and the culture and the social crap, and whether it's the bullies, and then or the parents, and then just like quote unquote friends and society in general, and then like the mainstream media, and then like books and movies and TV and sports and all this influence you see throughout your life, and then teachers, of course, and school, all that crap. I didn't already mention that. Um, yeah, like it's crazy. And then we have this whole oh fuck, I go off that tangent there again. I forget what I was talking about. But yeah, like, was basically going back to the seven Hermetic principles. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender, and gender, male and female. And then we see this. It can almost apply to anything. You hear it in the different languages. Like French has the masculine and feminine, um, depending on different, what you're describing, what you're talking about. So this is very interesting stuff, and you can apply it to a lot of different stuff. Like, going back to mentalism, the all is mind. So, like atoms are just basically programmed, like mental matter. Like they're just like energy that's been programmed with, like you are the element of hydrogen. You are the programmed hydrogen atom, and you will, behave in this way. And it's like obviously a very deep, higher consciousness. It's not like I'm doing like that's why like the whole idea of God and like intelligent creation comes into this, and that's what people got to reconcile science with spirituality. Essentially, like realize that there is a higher creative source. Okay, there is you yourself. Like you just think, like people think, like want to tell themselves that they are just like mindless automatons, and that this universe will just like go into entropy or whatever, like it'll just like just fizzle out, and all the stars will die off and everything will separate, and then it'll just be like infinite darkness. Or the whole like other theories too, like everything will collapse back in on itself or whatever, and whatever happens, I'm not here to speculate the end of the universe. Like that's kind of interesting subject for later for sure. Right now the main subject is waking people up to the fact that the world is run by fucking criminals. And then like the whole like the veganism movement, the environmental movement, and basically the compassion movement towards truth, and then like of course the anarchist, abolish government movement, and just just ignore government essentially. I really want to keep this together. Like just ignore the fucking government. Eventually one day when enough people unite, we can just like say no more taxes. Like keep paying the taxes until one day it's just enough's enough. We'll just stop it. And then what they're gonna do? Like send like police, and then of course like once the taxes stop, and then people just like stop agreeing to it, and we're sending messages to the military and police saying, just guys, we'll support people who want to protect, the weak and feeble or whatever, the ones who can't protect themselves. But it has to be like in a more open, transparent way, where you guys are wearing GoPros probably, and all this shit, because we can't have armed men running around thinking they can do whatever the fuck they want, whenever they want to, whoever they want, with basically no culpability as far as the government and the court system goes. So the courts back them up, because the courts are there to, basically, keep the masses in the delusional state that there is a justice system on this planet that's run by fucking criminals. Like, that's why the oceans are all polluted, okay? Like, mankind isn't that stupid to just, like, say, fuck it, we're just all gonna appeal to a bunch of, like, futilities and shit like that, and other logical fallacies, and then, like, things like apathy and nihilism. Like, we're not going to do that. We're going to, like, scientists have been saying, no, let's not do this. Like, if we had any sort of, like, civilized, intelligent culture, we wouldn't be destroying our environment with the fucking pollution, and, we wouldn't be herbivores that are eating fucking meat, dairy, and eggs. Like, we would, like, recognize decades ago that this is unhealthy to do because it's killing us. Like, if not, longer ago. Like, they're finding fucking mummies, and they're finding, like, little kids now, like, tested little kids for atherosclerotic lesions and plaque, and they're finding it in them because their parents have been giving them, portions of, dead animal flesh, baby cow growth fluid, and chicken periods, periodically here and there, or even regularly, throughout the kid's growth, since the kid was more or less getting weaned off the breast milk, if the kid even had breast milk, which is sad too. Like, that bonding there should be, and then of course the nutritional aspect of having, of course, like, I think a healthy mom too, that has a very nutritious diet, that is able to supply, to her kid everything it needs to grow up healthy and strong. But that's another subject there. But, like, anyways, it's crazy, this shit, like, thinking that breaking natural law and not understanding simple, basic things of how the universe works is somehow, like, freedom and power and, just gonna work out. Like, it's not. Sorry. It never has happened throughout history. Like, throughout history, even we see this in movies and shit too. Like, we see the brainwashed masses getting herded, okay, again, just getting fucking, whether they're convinced to go to war or, help clothe and fund and, be the machine behind the war, like, build the tanks, build the jets, build the swords, build the shields, whatever, and then all the way up to, just like the civilizations that we have today, the quote-unquote civilizations, where people are just, like, really passive, just really tax farm. Like, some of them are paying, like, extraordinary taxes, like, like, I won't even get into the numbers here, but, like, sometimes it's, like, I know, like, in some, like, 30% of taxes people pay, like, especially when it comes down to the end of the day, like, or end of the year, like, when you do, like, federal tax and provincial or state or provincial or state tax, and, like, maybe a bit of local tax, and then, like, environmental carbon tax, and then, like, gas tax, and, all the different, like, general sales tax. Is that what GST is? I'm not going to be sure on that one again. Like, these fucking taxes are so stupid. Like, I always wondered why people thought they were somehow okay, and they always said it seemed justifiable when you thought, oh, it's a civilized society, and we all gotta pitch in and do our part. But then you realize that they're just funding a bunch of bullshit. Like, how good is the hospital in your area? How long do you gotta wait to go to the, visit the hospital? And does it actually, like, are you actually still sick? Are you cured? Like, you're probably a herbivore, so they can eat, or, probably they doing the herbivore eating meat thing, if if you're carnivore, thinking that's healthy. And if you can't count on, but I'm vegan, like, I'm vegan as fuck. So, yeah, like, I won't lie though, I still have, leather belt I use. Like, I find it fucked up to use. I don't like using it. I don't really have to use it except like, if I'm jogging or something, I'm sure, but it's just like, even then I'd wear something else. But yeah, sorry, that's kind of weird, but you know what I mean? Like, and then I also have, I think, a leather strap for my guitar too, which, I bought them before I went full-blown vegan. I'm not going to go all extremist and just, like, it'd be nice eventually to give those things away or trade them or sell them, or even just, like, bury them and say, goodbye, you guys died for this and we won't forget you, or leave it as or even keep it as, like, a souvenir of the current estates. Like, hey, guess it's made of dead cow, and this was in, like, eventually let it be in a museum. You know what I mean? Like, well, obviously, those things that's, like, fucking crazy in the future now, but, like, as for now, it's basically, like, breaking natural law just isn't gonna be free, or won't result in freedom for you, and won't result in health for you either. Like, it won't result in anything good for you except, bad karma. Essentially, that's where it kind of comes from the law of attraction, where when you do harm and take shit comes to you, like harms you. That's where herbivores eating meat get atherosclerosis, and so basically like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, brain fog, like clogging up the brain, clogging up their lower regions, so their back pain, so they get back pain, and then also like sexual dysfunction. Like I think, I wouldn't be surprised, of course, like with the whole females having poor orgasms because there's not enough blood flow going to their clitoris and like their G spot and stuff, and then just that whole area in general, and then so there's not enough sensitivity there, and then so the oxygen flow is bad, so minor cell death, of course, and then get it with erectile dysfunction too, and even then they might even have poor orgasms too, because of the clogging and poor blood flow to the very small things. Like, that's what the whole interesting thing about this is, where when you're clogging up your entire arterial tree and banging it up essentially by putting a bunch of like cholesterol and saturated and trans fat cocktail in there, along with like the heme iron and the antibiotics and the hormones and the viruses and parasites that are potentially in there, whether they're dead or alive, your body still reacts to them. Like, of course, if they're dead, it's a lot better, but still, it just like your body's dealing with all this horrible shit, and then like all the little cells, like, or all the little blood cells, like go to all the little like, I can't remember the name, like the single cell, or the blood vessels that are only like a cell wide, that feed, like go to like every single cell essentially, right? You know what I mean there? Those ones, like those guys get fucking just like, how do they deal with that? Like having like one cell and then like a bacteria cell and then like another like red blood cell and a white blood cell trying to fight, like deal with some fucking oxidative stress and some cholesterol, some shit, or like however that works. I'm not exactly an expert on that shit yet, or not. You know what I mean? I'm trying to. Like, it's just so much to learn now, but it's just like, it's crazy. So, yeah, and then like tax farmed, debt, wage, slavery. Like, that's what it is. You're being tax farmed every day when you buy shit that has taxes on it essentially, and then like permits, certificates, licenses, etc., etc. Everything's tracked, monitored, costs something. You're always funneling money back to the system somehow, so they can track you, and then just take a little bit extra on top, just to say like, oh, thanks for just being a tax farm slave that your criminal elite essentially own you. And whether politicians know this shit or not, and all the people in all the different like levels of education and finance and politics, of course, whatever, and then like the medical industry and media and the whole like famous people and shit in Hollywood and all that trash. Like, fucking, we need to realize that these people are all like socially engineered, or they're even essentially mind control is what it is. Like, social engineering is basically mind control. Like, deal with the net word. Like, people say like, oh, conspiracy theory and all that shit. Like, yeah, conspiracies are real. Like, the fact that two or more people get together and conspire to accomplish something that maybe not be very popular or wanted by other people, and they want to do it in the dark. Like, that does happen. Like, look around you. You think that doesn't happen in this world? Like, the world's built on fucking secrets and shit. Like, you don't know fuck about anything. What the fuck do you know? And if you think you know shit about fucking, you're all like, oh, this guy's full of shit. Sadism and carnism is the way to go, and bacon and government's the shit, because please protect me and I get this and that from benefits or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, socialism and communism in some ways do benefit people when they're done in certain ways, but there's still coercive control systems that have brainwashed sheep and fucking, authoritarian control. Like, fuck all that shit. Anarchy. Anarchy is the fucking only way to go, and then when you hear that word anarchy, people are so conditioned to think, oh, chaos, riots, burning cars in the streets, fucking broken windows and protests, all this crazy bullshit, and hooded masks, people running around throwing grenades at each other and shooting each other. No, like, that's what the people, the social engineers, once again have been trying to convince you to think it is, because they want you to fucking understand simple basic ideas that would set you free otherwise. So yeah, I'm gonna take another drink of water here. I'll be right done ranting so far. This is a good one. Or yeah, this is gonna be called, like, yeah, this is not a rant, this is natural law, just, and Hermetic principles too. So once again, sorry about the mic quality. I've been trying to work on it, and maybe maybe if it sounds better or worse. I will be getting a new mic here really soon. That's one that's not a headset mic. And, yeah, it's not a headset mic. It'll actually be, I'm looking at, like, I won't tell you the name of it because I don't think it really matters, but it's just basically, like, it'll be, good, a good chunk of change enough to basically be a decent one, I think, for the amount of money I'm spending on it and the popularity of it, too. It'll be like a computer USB, a computer mic. Yeah, computer USB, computer mic. Fucking redundancy as fuck, repetitive shit. I'm getting tired. Sorry, it's been a long day for me. But, yeah, so it's basically that. And then, yeah, natural law is the shit. Hermetic principles are the shit. Also, things like the whole, like, the trivium and even the quadrium, too. I haven't gone much into the quadrium, but the trivium essentially is, think, feel, and do. Okay, like, I think that I wanted, like, just other ways to put it in, like, computer thinking is, like, input, processing, output. Okay, so think, feel, do. Like, think of something, input, like, okay, what do I think about, working hard to become physically fit and eating a proper diet and doing the best I can with what I got to improve my health and drop bad habits. How do I feel about that? I feel good about that, or I feel bad about that. If you feel good about that, then act on it. If you feel bad about that, then go, okay, rethink about this. Everybody watch Trailer Park Boys, rethink about this. But yeah, like, rethink about this and see why you don't feel good about it. That's why, for me, like, it seemed like a no-brainer to eventually just fully go, really, like, try to be healthy and exercise and change, like, gradually change my habits, of course, like depending on your willpower, of course, too, and your ability and your desire to want to change, you can really tweak yourself to really, like, crank up, like, okay, totally dropping the bad habits, like, if you're, like, in the pit of smoking, drinking and smoking, all that shit, and you can see what it's doing to you, you can, like, really just drop all that stuff and, like, just, like, quit it, and then, like, throw the cigarettes in the garbage or give them to a friend or whatever, and then, like, if you're eating meat, dairy, or eggs, quit that, or if you're in a bad job, quit it, like, working for the government or police or military, just quit it, and then you just can get out and be free, and then do what, feels right, like, so think, feel, do, like, it's very simple, basic stuff, input, processing, output. I think another one is, like, what was it, grammar, rhetoric, or was it, logic, grammar, rhetoric, or, no, grammar, logic, rhetoric, I think that's what it was, yeah, grammar, like, yeah, like, think about it, and then logic, sorry, it's kind of weird. Like, logic is like, okay, like, grammar is like, okay, there it is, and then logic, you think about it, and then rhetoric, you spew it back out in a way that, works for you, is beneficial to you, like, kind of like, that think, and then feel, do, like, feeling is kind of more like that logic process where, like, using logic, of course, is necessary for this, you can't just, like, that's where it's kind of confusing, this whole aspect where it's like, you gotta, like, but it kind of cascades down to where it's like your brain and your heart and then your gut. You do it in your gut, you have the guts enough to, and the balls essentially even to be able, like, your whole being to have, like, that courage to actually do what you know is right. That wisdom, when you have the knowledge to be able to do it, and then, like, you're able to, like, take steps towards the right direction, like, you start getting your body into shape and your mind into shape or whatever you're doing, and it's really cool. So, yeah, I think feel do is really powerful. Once again, I like to bring up the whole, like, people that are, like, hearing this and, like, really dismayed about, oh, criminals rule the world and shit. Yeah, but it's not a big of a deal as long as people just start continuing to pick up, like, the cryptocurrency revolution or evolution or whatever you want to describe it. Like, anarchy, veganism. Like, if you want to be healthy and happy, like, people, like, would be shocked probably if they went vegan for a while and actually started healing their bodies from the chronic inflammation and disease they're giving themselves from the poor diet, and letting their body adjust back to what it used to be. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, feel like people that go vegan that have spent, like, many years on, like, on a high meat, high egg, high cheese diet, they're gonna have a more difficult time adjusting to a vegan diet, maybe because, and more probably because their body has spent all those years adjusting to thinking that, or basically thinking, like, adjusting to eating these animal products. Okay, like, it's like smokers. Like, when I first started smoking, when I tried it when I was like 16 or 17. I got my first cigarette or two, and I went and I smoked them, and I was like, holy shit, this is like, before that I was only like half a smoke here and there, or a couple drags, or wasn't nothing much. But when I finally had my own smoke to myself, and I actually like started puffing on it regularly, and like not regularly, but like consistently for a bit, like half a minute, 30 seconds, I'm just like really, getting that full smoke flavor and being like, smoking. And I was like, holy shit, I'm dizzy. I feel like nauseous and like felt like throwing up kind of, and like I felt weak and shaky a little bit. Like, this is horrible. Why am I doing this to myself? Why do people do this to themselves? But that's why when I've been a couple years later, I'm buying packs of cigarettes and I'm smoking at parties and I'm smoking, hanging out with friends and here and there, and like even that escalated to a point where I was smoking just by myself, not even socially. I was smoking just buying a pack of smokes just to smoke, and uh, yeah, so it was stupid. But then it was just like, self-programming and habit forming, and you just keep introducing it to yourself, and then your body just says, okay, fine, I'll get used to it. And that's where the whole smokers feel good when they smoke, because it's their body telling them that I'll just make you feel good while you're doing this, because obviously you're like, this is a part of your life now. Like, I can't avoid this because you're just driving this into me. So your body adjusts, which is very interesting. It's kind of sad too, the way the body sort of like doesn't reject it, sort of just kind of like just like goes passive and deals with it as best it can. But I think it's the same thing with meat. And meat, like from a young age, people eat a lot of it, or eat it, and then you hear about people that eat a lot of it, and they feel sick after a while because they they've all fucking they're herbivores eating meat. Like, that's why we've got like all this chronic disease in society, and mental, emotional, and like essentially spiritual illnesses, like people that have anger issues, or depression, anxiety. Like, the list goes on. Like, this even goes into how energy, like, once again, the universe is mental and all is mind. So when thoughts, like, energy has energy, like the thoughts you have are energy. They create a different electromagnetic field, like a subtle energy field, depending on what you're thinking and feeling. That's where good vibes and bad vibes, you can feel that shit, and it changes things around. And yeah, so basically, with the shit, you can really start seeing how when you consume an animal that's been living its life in fear and pain and confusion and denial and, pain and anger and frustration and all these horrible emotions that these poor animals are feeling. Like, imagine being a little chick getting your beak cut off and then spending the rest of your life, like your short life, in, like, thank God it's a short life, but like they spend the rest of their life in cages with cutting that cut their feet, and they can barely move, and they're getting like they're stepping on each other, and it smells like shit. And it's just the sounds of your own kind crying in pain and agony too, with their cut beaks and all banged up and shit. And there's humans walking around just grabbing you and doing whatever the fuck you want with you it takes and shit, and like taking out the ones of you that have died and shit, or too weak to move or stop making eggs or whatever the hell they're using you for. And like, this is just like, okay, this is not right. And even though people that think, oh, happy meats, doesn't fucking matter. Happy meats are still immoral as fuck. If we had somehow, like, sentient life doesn't want to die. Okay, end of discussion. There's no way around that. You can't fucking, like, oh, but killing. No. Needless killing is needless killing. Like, needless killing is needless killing. Like, I don't know how to make it any more clear. Like, unnecessary killing is unnecessary killing. Okay, I'm probably not very good at pronouncing it needless. Like, but like, unnecessary killing is evil. It's fucking immoral. It's evil. Quit it. Like, hunters, you're wrong. Fucking factory farm slaughterhouse workers, sorry guys. Like, you're just, and if you're doing it for money in a situation you're in, like trying to move or wherever you can, like, just try it out of this bullshit and shrug it off, and it's gonna die eventually, because the vegan movement is gonna just take over, because carnists will just die out from their chronic diseases, and of course too, the tax farms to get sheep will just get farmed off too, and then like they won't be able to like outlive and deal with the situation as the world gets more, as things change, as far as like how all this plays out with the police and military and shit. So yeah, like, we just fucking can't keep breaking natural law like this and thinking it's somehow sustainable or necessary or fucking somehow like possible to have a society that's free and healthy, where once again we got herbivores eating meat and tax farm wage dead slaves. So anyways, everybody, if you actually listen to this whole thing, you're fucking awesome. Thank you so much. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. I will comment and respond to your comments, or at least I'll do my best to. Send me a PM or whatever. Like, I'll try to do my thing there too. If you want to I have my own website too, philosophicalherbivore.com. So that you can go on there. There's a forum on there. I blog on there. I'll be adding more as far as different parts of that website too, and expanding that as the days and weeks and months come here. So yeah, guys, I'm just gonna keep plucking away at this daily, depending on how much I can deal with the stress of fucking knowing all this shit that I know now. So yeah, like I've really sort of daily I look at the shit. I try to at least spend a couple hours every day, like dealing with like the cult shit and the fucking like the deep dark like underground conspiracy world where it's like people are like, yeah, I'll get to it here, but like the social engineering as far as like, and then like the diseases caused by carnism and how that all plays into this, and then like the immorality of dominant based beliefs where people want to dominate anything but themselves, and like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're a shill, you're this, whatever, and just like all this bullshit out there that's just destroying this fabric of society and is uniting it though too. Like, now we're having seen this movement, of course, is stronger than ever. So now people like just tired of the bullshit and unhealthy, like they want to leave a better world to their friends and family and children, and in the sense that are being born right now, like they don't want to be left leaving a legacy where they're just like one of the other ones who just said, fuck it, I'm gonna appeal to futility and all this shit and appeal to being a socially engineered sheep. Like, that's fucking weak. So yeah, I'm done with all that shit. So stay tuned, people. I'll be making more videos, and despite my mic sucking, I think I'll just keep making them, and hopefully people that enjoy my message despite the shitty audio quality, you guys will just, hopefully you'll enjoy my content even more when it comes out better, and then when it comes out with better quality, hopefully I'll get more viewers. So yeah, guys, if you're actually listening to this shit right now still, I love ya. Peace, understanding, compassion, necessary, severity, of course, tell the truth when it's needed, but don't initiate violence. We don't want that shit unless, unless, I shouldn't say unless, self-defense. That's what the unless was about. It's, unless you gotta defend yourself, essentially. It doesn't, you gotta, initiate force. Force is already being initiated against us. Okay, so that's where, that's where I'm I'm being really passive here with just my voice. I'm not trying to lead some underground resistance with this shit or something. It's just me broadcasting on YouTube, but and with my Facebook or my webpage and shit. But my website, my blog, and my Facebook or whatever. But yeah, guys, and gals, and whoever else, not affiliated, transgender, asexual, whatever. Yeah, have a good one. Peace, love, vegan. Peace, love, vegan. Peace, love, vegan. Truth, anarchy, anarchony.